Greetings, friends. Ron J here, and I'm helping you get 1% better at pretending to be good at fantasy football. And in this video, we're going to be doing a divisional breakdown of the AFC East, and we're having obviously a fantasy football approach to this. We're going to break down each team in the division, what I like, what I don't like, who you should be drafting, who you should be fading. We're going to be releasing every division in the next couple of days or the next couple of uploads. It might not be every day. It might be, one every other day or so. It's July, so we're going to start ramping up. We're going to start pushing more and more content. So if you guys want to stick around for these divisional breakdowns and plus a lot more stuff in the future, give your boy a like, a subscribe, and comment. Helps the algorithm, helps your boy out, helps me continue to create this content if you do like it. But let me earn it. So let's get into this, man. And we're going to start from the top, and we're doing the Buffalo Bills first. Projected to be 11-5, depending on who you look at. If you look at Vegas, if you look at Mike Clay is really good at projections. A lot of the industry pretty much follows Mike Clay and builds their fantasy analysis based on Mike Clay's projections. So I'm doing the same. 11-5. They have the 14th ranked strength of schedule, so about middle of the pack, give or take. Projected to score 476 points. That's first in the NFL with 379 points allowed and a 97-point differential. So the Buffalo Bills are essentially a green light team. Now, unfortunately, there isn't really an alpha wide receiver on the Buffalo Bills, which is kind of problematic, right? Like, you just wish, man. We just wish there was like a bona fide alpha wide receiver that we can just sink our teeth into. He'd be like a top 10 fantasy wide receiver for sure. But anyway, man, we have all systems go for James Cook, Josh Allen. These guys are strong drafts, especially with their value. Like Josh Allen, coming off of such a good fantasy season yet again, right? He was top 4 in fantasy football again. Despite that, he's still going fairly late, right? He's going after Lamar. He's going after Jaden Daniels in some leagues. So I think Cook and Allen are like the stalwarts of this offense. These are dudes that are going to get theirs. This is a team that wants to run the ball. James Cook looks like he's still going to be the lead guy for them. They're probably going to include Ray Davis a little more. So from a fantasy perspective, a team that's projected to win by so many points and are projected to be such a strong team, right? 11-5 projections. They might even bust that. They might even be like 13-2 or 13-3 rather. 13-4. There's fucking 17 games, right? Anyway, so those two are for sure drafts. Now that leads us to the wide receiver room, man. So we're starting from the top. We're heading down. We're going to end with tight ends. The wide receiver room is, as I mentioned, unfortunately, just one of those rooms where there's nobody that we're super excited about, super confident drafting. However, there's value to be had throughout the entire room, right? So we have Khalil Shakir of value. We have Keon Coleman, a super value. He's going to like the double-digit rounds, right? And then if you reach further into the fucking magician's bag, you got fucking Joshua Palmer, dude, who came over from the Chargers. He's now with Buffalo. He kind of takes over that Gabe Davis role, in my opinion, which is a role that kind of Amari Cooper was occupying a little bit last season. He was essentially just like a go route type of dude. So Joshua Palmer now potentially steps into that. Keon Coleman probably steps into that role as well. He probably shares that with Josh Palmer. So in any type of best ball format, I really like Josh Palmer. He's a guy that I want to be targeting in best ball or as just a late, dart throw. Who knows, man? Maybe he ends up being something. If he's not, dude, if he ends up being a fart, dude, you banish him to the shadow realm, right? Like after like week 2 or 3, if Josh Palmer's not getting any snaps, banish him. Which leads us then to the tight end room, Dalton Kincaid. Now this man was overhyped, dude. After year 1, we saw some nice production or some nice involvement rather. And then heading into year 2, he gets overdrafted. Plain and simple. He was being drafted in like the 4th, 5th round as like the tight end 3, tight end 2 off the board. It was insane. Or not tight end 2. He was being drafted at like tight end 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly, but and then he just lets us down, man. He lets us down in fantasy. He lets the team down in the playoffs. He has some big crucial drops in pivotal games. But I think there's a little bit of a turnaround to be had here. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to be fine, right? He's being drafted so late that I think he's a value pick. He's somebody that he is talented coming out of college. He showed that he could be like a nice safety valve / potentially even a red zone threat if they start to go away from Dawson Knox a little bit more. So that is the Buffalo Bills. Essentially green light on the running backs. Take some dart throws on the wide receivers. One of them might hit, especially Shakir. I just love his value for what he's already been able to show us. And then Dalton Kincaid is a decent value as well. And now that brings us to the second team in the AFC East, or they're projected to be the second team. which is the New England Patriots. A little bit of a surprise here, right? They're projected for, unfortunately, only 363 points while giving up 354. So they have a 9 point differential, bro. So they're projected to be in some tight games. However, they have the fourth easiest strength of schedule in 2025, according to Mike Clay. Now, how they calculate strength of schedule, I probably should have said this for the Buffalo Bills, but they calculate it essentially by the record of the teams from last season that they're playing. The record of the teams they're playing, what were they like last season? What are they going to be like heading into this season, right? So fourth easiest. Now, I think Drake May takes another step forward. I think with this new coaching staff with Mike Vrabel at the helm, some nice young talent in Trevion Henderson, Kyle Williams, maybe Polk is not so much of a jar of farts, and maybe he's something. And then they of course have old man Diggs still there. I think they're going to outperform this projection. I think 8-8 is a little bit conservative, to be honest. I think they can potentially hit 10 wins this season, man. Just with that strength of schedule, I think they can bust that. Now let's look at the running back room. So Trevion Henderson, probably my favorite running back to click on in drafts, especially in any type of PPR format. It's just a fable as old as time, man. It's maybe older than all the Abrahamic religions. Is that old running backs that are inefficient get replaced by young, highly drafted running backs? It's just the way things go, dude. It's death, taxes, and fuck Ramondre Stevenson, I suppose. He's a fade. He's somebody that I will not be drafting. It's just I don't think he's going to be helping us from like weeks 10 on. I just don't think he's going to have a role after about week 10 when they realize that Trevion Henderson just provides so much more for them. So Trevion Henderson is a dude that I love taking, after like the fourth round or so in that, quote unquote running back dead zone. He's the perfect profile, right? In the running back dead zone, you want to typically avoid running backs that are like volume based RB2s, and you want to go for dudes who have receiving work and, youth and upside and are more dynamic, like pass catching running backs. That's usually the type of archetype that tends to outperform the running back dead zone. So coming out to the wide receiver room, we have Kyle Williams is a nice prospect. He's somebody that I talked about all off season. Head over to the channel, look at some of my dynasty wide receiver videos where I talk about Kyle Williams pretty much any chance I get. And the dude is just an absolute blazing fast yards after the catch monster. And he now joins a wide receiver room that is pretty barren, dude, to be fully honest with you guys. And Stephon Diggs, dude, coming off of an ACL injury, he's 106 years old. I think he's past his prime, bro. I think it's over. I think he's cooked. I think he's toast. And I think this wide receiver room is just ripe for the pickings. You have some tertiary pieces like a Demario Douglas. You have fucking Jalen Polk. These guys, they're not real big like target earning wide receivers, right? I think Kyle Williams can be the dude who, because he's so cheap, you can get him in double digit rounds. You can get him in like, your third to last round pick. He's somebody that I love taking, man. Just we want to go for upside in the later rounds. Essentially, in the later rounds, it comes down to this: do you want to take like older wide receivers that are on the decline and that them outproducing their ADP would be kind of going against the trend, or do you want to go with like your unproven rookies who we don't really know what they're going to do? Either way, there's uncertainty. I'd rather go with the uncertainty of the mystery box, right? Like, do you want the mystery box where there could be a boat in the box, or do you want to take Stephon Diggs where we already know he's a boat with a fucking hole in the hole? In the hole? A hole in the hull? Anyway, go with Kyle Williams, which leads us now to the tight end room. Hunter Henry. We'll keep this one simple, bro. Hunter Henry is actually a decent late round tight end option. He's just always like okay for you, right? He's gonna get you like 1 point. You're gonna fucking hate him. You're gonna drop him, and then as soon as you drop him, he's gonna go for like 20 points, 2 touchdowns, right? So that's just the Hunter Henry carousel game. You can pick him up if you're punting the position and you're looking for a tight end later. And that pretty much does it. Oh, one more thing. We're going to talk about Drake May. So Drake May is a great late round quarterback target. Now he's moving up, dude. I think people are getting smart. The industry is getting sharp on quarterbacks in general. And the dude does have rushing upside, which is why the industry is getting smart on a dude like Drake May. He's a second-year quarterback who showed a lot of good potential. He's a great quarterback, and he has rushing potential, which means he's going to be fantasy relevant. He's going to be a great pick. It's just the way I see it, he's like a cheaper Bo Nix or a cheaper Jaden Daniels. Obviously cheaper and probably not as good in my opinion. I think Bo Nix is stay tuned for that that when we cover the AFC West, man, because Bo Nix is somebody who's going to be a guy that I have a lot of my teams, man. But we will stay on task here. If you're enjoying this video, man, before I move over to the next team, why don't you give your boy a like, man? If you like this video, if you like this type of content, it's a new trend or a new format that I'm trying, man. It might not be very good. It might not work very well. At the end of the day, you got to try new stuff, man. And if you guys do like, I would appreciate a like. And let me know down in the comments if you do like this type of format. And the next team, who is projected to be third in the AFC East, is the Miami Dolphins at about the same projection. So 8.6 wins, right? That's what they're projected for. But they're projected to score more than the Patriots. So not slightly better offense, but a much worse defense, obviously. So 400 points for versus 398 points against. That gives them a 2-point differential. Again, a team that were expected to be in some tight games. They have the 15th easiest strength of schedule. So right there with the Buffalo Bills as well. Now, here is the thing. I think if Tua stays healthy, they beat this projection. I think they can be a 10-7 team. They can be potentially a double-digit win team as well. I know I already said that for the Patriots too, but this could very much be a 3-team, it's a 1-team race in terms of the Bills winning the division. But then we have the Patriots and Dolphins, I think, neck and neck all season for the 2 spot. The problem with this team is that they don't have any cornerbacks. Their cornerbacks I swear I literally saw their starting cornerback, who I can't even name, working at the Home Depot next to me, dude. He was literally in uniform in full Home Depot regalia, helping me in aisle 11. And now he's the starting cornerback for the Dolphins. That's how few cornerback, standout names they have. They just traded Jalen Ramsey away. I don't understand what they're going to do now. Their defense is going to be horrendous, especially their pass defense. Which makes me optimistic about their wide receivers, right? They're a team that if they're gonna want to win any games, they're gonna have to pass the ball. I see the Miami Dolphins this season like last year's Bengals. Even though last year's Bengals are also this year's Bengals, right? They're like another Bengals. There's a couple teams who are the Bengals of 2024. And the Miami Dolphins are one of them, man. I'm very optimistic about both Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane, who's essentially a pseudo wide receiver playing running back for them. But don't get me wrong, he's a great rusher as well. The dude averages like 7 fucking yards per carry. He's absolutely insane. But where he wins a lot, or where he makes a lot of his money, is in the passing game, right? He gets in a fantastic amount of receptions, targets. He's a phenomenal yards after the catch, yards after contact running back for his size. He's just great, dude. Devon Achane is one of my favorite running backs. And the fact that he was at one point in the summer, dude, this man was being drafted at the end of the second round. I didn't understand it, especially in underdog, if we're going by underdog rankings, which is money leagues, money best ball leagues. And the dude was being drafted high, but he is moving up. He is now, I'm seeing him go in like the first round, bro. I was like, the running back 4, running back 5 off the board. So the window seems to be closing on Achane as a value. However, I still have him as one of my top 5 running backs, which means I will be going after him. I still will be drafting him. Tyreek Hill represents some risk because he's older, but he still is a dude that you can just imagine him still getting like 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, and just proving everyone wrong, right? Even at his age, he still looks fast, man. I mean, the dude is out there fucking farming content, racing like Noah Lyles' brother and other like fucking randoms off the street. So the dude still has crazy speed for his age. So Jalen Waddle, I guess, is the one that's a little bit, we were super high on him last season. I'll eat a dick on that, dude. I took a massive shit on my own leg. I was drafting Jalen Waddle in the second round, thinking he was going to supplant Tyreek. This offense is going to be pass first. We were fucking wrong, dude. We will eat shit on that, dude. We take that L on the chin. But this season, he has a lot more value, man. He's going in like the 6th round. And he's dropping, dude. He's dropping more and more. Now, they do trade Jonnu Smith away, which means his value should start to go back up. However, I still think he's going to be a value if you get him anywhere after about the 5th round. I like Jalen Waddle as my wide receiver 3 or so. It just looks like such a nice makeup of a team when you draft. And you see that, like, you're at your wide receiver 3, at your flex spot, you have a name like Jalen Waddle. It just looks good. It feels good. It's a team that feels like it's got some fucking firepower. And the last category for this Miami Dolphins team is the tight end room. Now, the tight end room looked like it was going to be filled with, another dude who works at Home Depot. But it turns out they go and they pick up, not off of Home Depot, but off of his couch, fucking Darren Waller, man. Comes out of retirement, joins this Miami Dolphins team. Now, Darren Waller was a fantasy stud only for a few seasons. He dealt with injuries every other season. He gets traded to the Giants. He ends up being pretty much a fart, doesn't even really play much, retires, and now he's coming out of retirement to join the Miami Dolphins. So here's the thing about tight ends, right? They tend to break out later in their career, right? It's like 27 or 28 and up is like at the breakout season for tight ends. Darren Waller's only about 32 years old, so he's still kind of in that window of like he could still potentially produce. Like I harp back to Zach Ertz last season, right? Zach Ertz was like older than my dad, dude. He could have been my dad, but the dude was actually very productive for the Cardinals. Now, Zach Ertz, potentially a future Hall of Famer. So Darren Waller, I don't know if he's on that same take care of my body type of level as a Zach Ertz, but we've seen it before. So I think he's a nice little late round flyer pick if you're struggling at tight end. Let's say you're punting the position completely and you're just like looking for anything at tight end. Darren Waller has some signs of life. And let's wrap this up quickly, man, because I don't want to make you succumb you guys to having to hear about the Jets for any longer than you have to. Projected to be 6-10, 327 points for, 380 points against. That's a negative 53 differential, and they have the 18th hardest strength of schedule. Now, I predict them to be in tighter games. I do. I think Justin Fields is somebody that can help actually move this offense. I think time of possession will be in the Jets' favor. I just don't know if they're going to be able to hang with teams, right? Like late in the fourth quarter, when defenses start to open up, start to stretch, teams may be playing from behind. I don't know if the Jets can contain teams, right, and can keep up with teams offensively. I do think if they run the ball and they manage the clock and they have time of possession, and Justin Fields just keeps picking up annoying ass fucking first downs on like 3rd and 8, then this offense can actually prove us wrong and they can outperform their projections. Now, here's the problem, right? The problem is that you only really have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is somebody that I love as my wide receiver 2. I really fucking love him as my wide receiver 3. Like sometimes I'll start a draft where I'll go like Jamar Chase followed by fucking I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, this is very rare, but like maybe a Drake London will fall to the end, or like a Lad McConkey will fall to the end of the second round. And then I'll swing around in the 3rd round and take a dude like Garrett Wilson, and my teams just feel so good. That's like a 0 RB type of strategy, but that's what I would be doing with a team like the Jets, or with Garrett Wilson rather. Target him as your wide receiver 2 or as your wide receiver 3. He's going to get so much volume in this offense. I think it's going to be the Fields and Garrett Wilson show, which means he's a value, right? He's just a value. A dude that talented who has all the metrics. Now, he doesn't have any of the fantasy production to back up the volume that he's been getting, unfortunately. But look at the quarterbacks he's had, right? He had Aaron Rodgers, where I thought he was going to have a phenomenal, like Devontae Adams type season. Then Devontae Adams comes, kind of ruins that little party. So Garrett Wilson has been just underperforming his talent. And I think with Justin Fields, he did help DJ Moore have the best season of his career. So I love Garrett Wilson as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. There's no one really else on this team. Brees Hall, he's actually a value at his cost. I think he's going to turn around. I think he's going to be the lead guy eventually. They're just going to realize he gives them the highest chance of succeeding as a team. They're just going to eventually give the job back to Brees Hall. They're going to see that he's actually their best chance of winning. And that's why I like him at his cost, right? He's going to like the 4th round, right in or right before that RB dead zone. He's not a volume-based RB2. That's why I love him in that round, right? He's a pass catching, also volume, also breakaway speed. He's got the full package, and he's being drafted kind of disrespectfully, as if we're expecting kind of like a committee. Now, it could be a committee, but I do think he's going to be the head of it, and then they're eventually going to just give him the job. And Justin Fields as a quarterback is also someone that I absolutely love drafting. He's probably my favorite late round QB. You know, unfortunately, he's also climbing in ADP. So by the time the draft season rolls around in like late August, people are really, leaning into the rushing quarterback archetype, especially after what Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson were able to do last season. I imagine Justin Fields is going to be like a 7th, 6th round pick by then, and then he might not be such a value. And then he might actually be a little bit too risky for me. But anyway, that does it, man. At the tight end position, there's not really much. Yeah, you don't probably don't want to take any Jets tight end at the moment. At the tight end position, you got Tyler Conklin, who's not really that exciting. He should still be the starter. I know they did draft a rookie, but Tyler Conklin's expected to be the starter. It's just I don't know if Justin Fields can. I don't know if with such low pass volume, there's any space for a guy like Tyler Conklin to actually be productive. So that does it, man. That is the AFC East. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. As I mentioned, I'm just trying to help you guys get 1% better at pretending to be good at fantasy football, man. I am Ron J. And if you like this video, man, a like is the best way to show support, but a comment would help me even more, dude. I'll catch you guys in the next video.